Hello friends, in this video I will quickly show you a way of styling Material UI 5 components if you are using React 18. So styling with Material UI 5 sort of requires a mini course of its own because it can be pretty confusing. And since the course is not really about design, that's why I didn't go too deep into it. And that's the reason why I suggested you guys do the styling inline, which is much simpler. The goal was to give you enough stuff on MUI so that we could build the pages in our application very fast. But some of you guys have been asking me about the right way of doing styling with MUI 5 and React 18. So I will try to explain it to you in this video. The MUI documentation is very well written. It's just a matter of finding out where everything is. So I will go ahead and create a new React application. So npx create React app, just call it front end. All right, now I will go ahead and cd into the front end folder. Now let's start by installing Material UI. So let's go to the get started installation. You can just copy this line here and paste it here. All right, now we can start the development server with npm start. All right, now we have a fresh React application. So let's go to VS Code. We can go to the app.js file. Here we can just delete everything inside here. All right, now let's create a simple HTML button. And this will say HTML button. As we all know, this is not a MUI component. This is just simple HTML. One way of styling HTML elements in a React application is by doing it inline, just like in the course. So here we can type style is equal to double curly brackets. So we can style this button by giving it a border. Let's say 5 pixels, solid, and then black. We can give it a background color. Let's say yellow. We can give it a color. How about red? A width, let's say 15 rem units. A height, how about 5 rem units? And also some margin, maybe 2 rem units. We can also give it a font weight of, let's say, bolder. All right, so this is our HTML button. Now let's go ahead and create a MUI button. So we can first import button from MUI and we can put it right below here. This one will say MUI button. We need a fragment here. All right, so these are our two buttons. We have an HTML button and a MUI button. Now let's go ahead and give the MUI button the same style as the HTML button. So we can copy all of these and paste it right here. See, now we have two identical buttons when it comes to their styling. All right, now let's go back to the MUI docs. And here at the top on this drop down, we can go to MUI system. So as it says here, MUI system is a collection of CSS utilities for styling and customizing MUI components. And the MUI system lets you customize MUI components with the SX property, SXProp for short. Now let's go to the SXProp page. It says here that the SXProp is a shortcut for defining custom styles that have access to the theme. We will talk about the theme in a bit. It also says here that you can specify any valid CSS using the SXProp, and that's what we are going to test right now. So let's go back to VS Code. Here on the MUI button, instead of style is equal to, let's go ahead with SX is equal to. And here in our page, as you can see, there's no change. The same style is applied to the MUI button. Now let's go back to VS Code. Let's also replace this style here with SX. As you can see, this is not working for the HTML button. So the SX prop only works for MUI components. So for the rest of the video, we are just going to work with MUI components. We can just go ahead and delete this button right here, the HTML button. All right. Another advantage of the SX prop is that you can do the styling of the pseudo classes like the hover state right here in line. So let's change the background color of this button on hover state. So here between quotes, we have the ampersand, colon hover, and then colon, and then curly brackets. So let's change the background color to, let's say, blue. So now when we hover over the button, see, the background color becomes blue. Awesome, this is working. So what does it mean? It means that in the course, you can use the SX prop for MUI components and the style prop for native HTML elements. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about the theme. Like I said earlier, the SX prop has access to the theme. So let's go back to the MUI docs. We can go back to the Material UI here. And here let's go to customization and then go to default theme. As you can see here, the theme is made up of a bunch of properties like breakpoints, palette, spacing, and so on and so on. And the SX prop have access to this theme. Let's do a quick check. We can expand this palette here and we can choose a color. How about the secondary color? So this secondary color is kind of purple and it has 3 color variations: main, light, and dark. So let's go back to VS Code. How about we change the background color of this button to secondary.main. See, now the button is purple. Another advantage of the SX prop is that you can apply responsive design to any MUI component, since it lets you have access to the theme object, which has these breakpoints here. Let me show you. So here are the breakpoints, and these are the values of the breakpoints for extra small screens, medium, large, and extra large. But let's go back to the MUI system docs. Now let's go to the usage page. Alright, here if you scroll down to responsive values, we have an example on responsive design right here. Applying responsive design to will be set as an object with different breakpoints. So let's go back to VS Code and do an example. So we are going to set different values for the width depending on the screen size. So here for width, this is going to be an object. There will be a value for extra small screens. How about 200? So for extra small screens, the width of this button will be 200 pixels. You can just duplicate this a couple of times. So this one will be for small screens, and then medium, and then large, and then extra large. So how about 200, 400, 600, 8, and then 1000. Alright, good. Let's also do the same thing for the background color of the button. We can just copy this. Except for extra small, we are going to have, let's say, blue. And then for small, how about cyan? For medium, we can set it to yellow. For large, how about pink? And then for extra large, green maybe. Alright, good. Now let's go to the browser. Alright, let's look what happens if the screen size is 599 pixels versus 600 pixels. See? And then 899 and 900. And then 1199 and 1200. See? This is working. And the last one is 1535 and 1536. Awesome. But let's go a bit further again. Like I said before, the default values in the theme are customizable. So let's go back to the MUI docs in the SXProp page. So just like in this example right here, we have to bring in the create theme hook, store it in a constant, and then pass it to the theme provider. We can just copy these lines of code here. We can copy everything here, and we can paste it here. For now, let's just comment out everything inside here. And go back. This time we are just going to copy the theme provider, and we can paste it here. And this will wrap everything. Now let's go back to the browser. Alright, the button has disappeared. And for some reason, if we change the way we import the create theme hook right here, if we change the way we import it, the button will come back. So we can just duplicate this line here. So here, instead of importing the create theme hook from at MUI/system, we are going to import it from at MUI/material/styles. Now, if you go back to the browser, see, now the button is back. All right, now let's go ahead and override some values in the default theme. So let's go back to the MUI docs. Let's go back to the default theme page. It's here. So how about we change the color of this primary.main? Right now it's blue. How about we change it to black? So let's go to VS Code. So we first need to have access to the palette property, and then primary. This is going to be an object, and then main, and we can change it to black. The hex color for black is the number sign followed by 0 6 times. Now let's scroll down and change the color of the button from red to primary.main. All right, see, now we have a black font. And if you go back to VS Code and comment this out, primary.main will be the blue color. See, this is primary.main, the original one. And since we did a override, the font is black. All right, now let's do another example. Let's say you want to change the values of the breakpoints. You just go through the same process. So here in the theme, you bring in the breakpoints, and then the values. We have XS, this is FM, MD, LG, and XL. These are the original values for the breakpoints. How about we override them? So how about 0, 800, 1000, 1400, and let's say 1700. Let's go ahead and test this. See, at 600 and 599, we have the same thing. And we change the transition to small to 800. So here, if we go with 799, see, this is still blue, and 800, see, it changes. Awesome. And this will work for the rest. All right, one more thing about the theme provider before we move on. Now, any component that is a child of the theme provider will have access to the theme. So let's go ahead and create a new component in the SRC folder. How about we call it outer component.js. We can open it in VS Code, create a new component with RFCE, and this will just return a typography component from MUI. and this will just say this is from an outer component, and we can give this a variant of, let's say, h1, and here we need to import typography. All right, good. Now let's go back to the palette in the app.js file. How about we create a new custom color here and call it my color. We can give it a green color, and here we can import the outer component. So import outer component, and we can render it right below the MUI button. Oh, I have a problem here in the outer component. All right, so this is what we have right now. All right, now let's go back to the outer component.js file. We can give this typography a SX prop, double curly brackets, and we can set the color to my color in between quotes. See, now the H1 is green. So you can see how powerful the SX prop can be when it comes to reusability of your project theme. All right, now let's go ahead and see how we can apply these changes in our pages in the course. We can take, for example, the add_property.js file, which I have open right now in a React 18 application. So in the course, we use the make styles hook. But like I said in the announcement, you no longer have to do that. So you don't need this make styles hook anymore. And you don't need to store it in the use styles constant either. So in the course, if you are using React 18 and MUI 5, these are the changes you're gonna have to make. So here you don't need the make styles hook, so we can delete this line. And here we have this form container with the styles. So we can just cut the styles inside and look for where we have applied this form container style. So we have it here. So instead of class name is equal to that, this is going to be style is equal to what we have just cut. All right. So let's scroll back up. We can delete this. And we have this style, register btn, so we can cut everything inside and look for where it was applied. And here, instead of class name and instead of style is equal to, we are going to have xx is equal to double pair of curly brackets and then paste what we have. All right, good. We can copy this, apply it here and here. All right, I think that's it. And we can delete this. We can do the same thing for this last style. So we can cut everything inside. Look for this. And here we can have sx is equal to double pair of curly brackets and paste what we have. All right. All right, so now we can delete this whole thing. We don't need the use styles. Let's look for the classes constant. And here, we don't need this constant either. All right, good. Now let's go to the browser. Go to the add property page. See, everything is working just fine. Awesome. Now let's go back to the add property file again. In this file, there are many instances where the styling was done inline, as you can see here. But if you like, for all MUI components, you can replace style with sx is equal to. So here, instead of style is equal to, and this will work for all MUI components, we are going to have sx is equal to. Now let's go back to the browser. All right, this seems to be working except for the div. There's a div here at the top, a wrapper div. It's right here. So here sx won't work because div is not a MUI component. Now here for the div, if you want to use sx, you can replace the div with a box component from MUI. It just behaves like a div. It's just a wrapper. So here we can replace div with box. And at the top, you're going to have to import box in between curly brackets from MUI system. And see now in the browser, everything is working. So there you go. In the course, I used React 17. If you are using React 18, you just need to be careful with the styling. And as you can see, it is very easy to fix. Other than that, everything else will work perfectly fine. In this video, I basically scratched the surface of styling with MUI, but there's definitely more to it. But I don't want to get out of scope. Like I said, I think it deserves a small course of its own. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and thank you for watching.